To call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, September the 3rd. I have a few changes to the agenda tonight. If you will add to consent at 6A3, permission to transfer a vehicle from Development Services Admin to Development Services Building Department. If you will add at 6C9, to hire a seasonal laborer in environmental services. And then at 26A, to consider a request from the Magnolia Collection to close a portion of Tyler Avenue for a period of time for construction. We'll hear that at 26A. Ashley, did I miss anything?
No, ma'am, that was it.
Okay. All right. With those changes, could I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? A quick mayor's report, as any of you who have left the confines of your home know, we are busting at the seams and excited that the first football game proved to be what all the hype has been, so that was wonderful. We are using cell phone data to track so that we more accurately can track our numbers of visitors to town, and I am happy to report that on Friday we had 126,100 folks in town, and on Saturday 144,900. Paul Gallo interviewed me this morning in the Paul Gallo show, and he referred to Oxford as it was just magic. And he was talking about what the guys that were calling the game were saying about Oxford. He was like, you can't buy that kind of advertising. It went on, and thank goodness he went on too. So I felt like we got it double. We got it on the Paul Gallo show too. But I want to thank the employees in this room that make it all happen, because it's not us that makes that happen. It is our building and grounds people who show up and power wash sidewalks and empty trash cans. It's Visit Oxford folks who are making sure that everything's running smoothly and information's disseminated. It's our police department that is dealing with that many people on the square. It's our street department that gets the roads ready, the fire department that's stepping in with PD and doing all the normal stuff you do on a regular Saturday in Oxford, and EMA, and just every one of you. And then Nikki will get in the court department to deal with a lot of others as a result of the weekend. So there you go. But I thank all of you so much. I know everybody's worn out and we're only one game in, but it's going to be a fun season. With that, I'll ask you to authorize the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on August 20th and the special meeting on August 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
Move we pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ask you to consider the consent agenda with 2 additions.
Motion to consider the consent agenda as amended. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We, at our last meeting, heard from some residents who wanted us to consider some additional screening at the cemetery, and the board at that time asked Mark Levy to gather some ideas and prices and that kind of thing. So Mark, if you want to come up and present those, that would be great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to put this on the big screen up here. 1 second. Bear with me. All right, let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, so here's our map. So yes, you mentioned at the August 6th meeting, we were asked to look at a couple other options, and we discussed several of those options. Some of those included the slats that we have. Some of those options were using existing chain link fence. We either would put slats or use a windscreen. The other suggestion was to construct a wooden privacy fence. And so what we did is we tried to get together some budget numbers. There's a lot of variables to consider, especially with the wooden fence, because we have a couple different areas that we can look at. But as you see on the, I left pricing on your at each one of your stations. Everything highlighted here in yellow is if you were to put a wooden fence all the way across the south border, so 807 linear feet, and option 5 would be a 6-foot tall wooden fence, and we have an 8-foot for option 7, and then we have a 10-foot, and then at the bottom we have a 12-foot tall fence. There are a couple different style fences. You have a shadow box, which is where you have kind of alternating pickets that you can kind of see through if you're moving fast, and then you have picture frame, or what's called a good neighbor fence, where you have both sides look the same and you have a picture frame. So there's a little difference in pricing on those. And so tonight we're just going to give you this information. We probably need a little more direction to get a firm quote, and the prices, as you can see, are range from a couple $1,000s to well over what we have to bid. We'd have to get bid, advertise and bid. And so if it looks like we're going to go that direction, we'll need permission to advertise, and we'll probably, at a certain height, we feel more comfortable getting the engineer involved and design it, because the wind load on a 12-foot tall fence it can be pretty serious, and we feel like that's part of it.
What is 807 linear feet, meaning from where to?
Yes, the 807 linear feet is this, I'm calling it the yellow line. Let's see. I don't know why this. Oh, there we go. That's the bottom line. So that's that's on the south side of the ditch, running all the way from essentially the section that we installed the new cemetery creek. So on this west side, you have some existing Ely Agnes. That's where it goes underground right there. We would fence that entire section, and then we have. I broke the pricing into several different pieces.
Hey, Mark, one question. Is that yellow line, that is where there is chain link fence, that's the exact line of what is chain link now?
It is. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And you may not know this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, would construction involve taking down the chain link fence, or we just build it on the outside of it? Or is
I think it depends on where you put it. If you put it on the north side, now the fence on the north side is not on our property line. And we've planted those shrubs on our property line, and if you can kind of see that pink line is actually, it's about 6 to 8 feet north of the edge of the bank.
That's the north side,
That's right.
the pink line.
Right.
Yeah.
We could take it down. I mean, if you build a wooden fence, we're gonna have to come south of that concrete. We don't want to get into the ditch. I mean, we got to stay off the ditch. So you could either leave it or take it down.
Well, I'm the one that asked, or at least requested, that you give us what we give, and I'm gonna state the position or why I did it. Really, my concern is for the people in the cemetery after walking the length of the fence. So I would, anything, whatever kind of fence or type of screening it is, I would want it on the cemetery side, the south side. That's what I'm talking about.
Can we get between the cyclone fence and the trees we go planting? I don't know what the distance is there.
On the south side, Mark?
My novice opinion is yes, but that's mine.
Yeah, I mean, yes, sir. We could.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think.
Well, you said today that if you did, that then the trees, once they grow, you're gonna have to remove the fence.
So, I mean, as they grow, they're going to grow into or over that fence, and eventually, the fence will probably it won't be doing any good at that point, because it won't be screening anything. And again, we've already got a chain link fence. But I think there is room to install it now, you know, until those trees get up tall enough, if that's what you want to do.
Is there an 8-foot temporary fence option with windscreen? I see you've got 10 feet quoted. 10 feet seems extreme. It seems like most of the construction fences I see are 8.
We've as far as
Option 9.
option 9.
Yeah, that price seems steep, and it could be because of the price difference between. I think we need at least 6 or 8 there for privacy.
So if you look, the windscreen, yeah, I got a price for a 10-foot, and again, these are numbers they're throwing out there right now, but I got a price for the temporary 10-foot. And then the 6-foot, which would be what it is now, just attaching to the existing fence. So that would be option 6.
We did not get a price for 8 foot.
No, we did not. We can't.
It takes, obviously takes extra, you got a dry post, you have to do, because what's there is only 6 foot. That's why the 10 foot is so much higher than the 6 foot.
Would you have to dry post?
Yes, what's there is only 6 foot now.
Well, I was just hoping you could do like the temporary construction fencing that have the feet on them and sandbag it and attach it to the existing fence. And not dry post.
I guess you could do that, and worry about.
The wind.
I'd be worried about wind load on it too, but.
The fence guys that I talk to, most of them don't even build fences over 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
10
They
feet
really
bothers me.
they don't, one guy said he couldn't even consider it 12 foot, but,
10 feet bothers me, from a maintenance standpoint, from a stability standpoint, generally.
Well, if you're doing anything with it, you gotta bring a ladder. I mean, 8 feet, you can reach up and get to the top. You can't at 10.
For restaining it and doing that kind of thing, yeah.
Right, I mean, just,
Generally, upkeep.
and my purpose or is that it provides a screen for the cemetery from the residents as they visit or mourn the loss of their loved ones, but it also gives us that screen for a time when, and allows what we planted to grow. And once it grows, I mean, there's no need for a fence, we hope, we believe. And so that's, I don't know what you need from me.
are you leaning toward
Eight.
using the slide? Okay, so,
8-foot wooden privacy fence.
okay, so that would be,
Option number
Option
8. 7.
okay.
So what is, oh, that's basic privacy versus picture frame
And-
is
and
the
you
cost difference.
Want to do it on the south side of the
That's what I would do, yeah.
I agree.
with the south side, because Bramble Boulevard, those homes also face a cemetery, but those residents have built their own fences. Those.
I looked at those are shadow
The city
boxes.
should have to do that, because at what point do you stop putting fence in people's yards?
No, I'm on the cemetery side.
Yeah, cemetery.
Yeah.
Would the city take care of our property?
do you like the shadow box or the picture frame?
I don't know the difference.
The one you just mentioned is a shadow.
The shadow,
Other than
a shadow box would do what
$20,000.
we needed it to do. It lets more air flow through for the plants. And I like the price better.
And is 6 feet too short?
It just depends on where you're standing in the cemetery. 6 feet. Unless
6
you're,
feet.
unless you're really close to the fence. I mean,
6 feet short.
I mean,
Remember
That's
the
what's there.
topography of where the homes sit,
Yeah.
you know, this
I mean,
is below.
because of the topography, if you're standing on the fence and you walk 20 feet, you're already going to be above the fence, even at 8 foot height. I mean, it's just
We can't
a
do
small
anything.
section.
Right,
Yeah.
we can't change the topography of the cemetery, but I think this is what we can do and the best we can do, in my opinion, is the option number 7, 8 foot.
Is that a motion?
On the south
Well,
side?
I mean, I don't, we don't have,
we got
I
to bid
could,
it.
do you
We
want
have to
me to
bid
get two or three quotes and come back? Is that?
Yeah.
Does the shadow box look the same on both sides?
Yes,
It does, yes.
I built enough of them, it does.
So
Don't
that's
worry about
different.
They're supposed to.
I was just told we got, our fence requirement, to put up a fence, we have a good neighbor policy, which means the ugly side of the fence has to face our property. So that was, but if it looks the same on both sides, it doesn't matter.
So what, Mark,
Okay.
on the shadow box, your slats are 5.5 and you space them like 2 3/4 in between?
Yeah, and then
So you
so you
take
get it,
half
yeah.
of your width and space it.
and
Well, I mean, we've got to get a quote. on
Right,
that.
but-
This- yeah, so I can come back.
So
to
does
that.
somebody want to make a motion to send Mark back to get quotes on an 8-foot wooden privacy fence what did you call it, shadow box?
Shadow box.
Shadow box.
I'll make that motion.
And
Second.
All right, did you want to add anything more?
I'd just like to see the cost of an 8-foot construction fence with windscreen, since it's temporary.
How was
Compare
temporary?
apples and apples.
Didn't we have a fit over 208 with their temporary construction fence? I mean, I think this is I'm fine with getting prices on it, that's okay.
And
We a side yard, 8 foot's okay?
Yeah.
Don't need a variance.
8 foot max, yeah.
and we're gonna seal it, so
Sure.
just for maintenance, and we could consider paint if y'all, okay, sealing.
I think ceilings. I don't think the purpose is, I think sealing is fine.
So is it gonna go out on the outside of the living hedge?
The way I've got it drawn is to have it between the arborvitae, the green giant arborvitae, and the euonymus, and the existing chain link fence. And we can do. Do you
I
want
think
to
that's-
move the existing chain link fence, or you want to consider?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, so
Well, at some point in time, the trees are gonna grow to where the wood fence has to be removed or
Sure.
stop the growth
That's right.
of the
If
trees,
that's-
and you're
that's
still
right.
gonna need that chain link
That's
right.
safety then,
That's
so.
right.
I think it
you
stays. I think
leave
it stays for
there.
safety
It's a
reasons.
safety reason, yeah, you don't want people back down in the ditch, you finally.
That's what I'm saying, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to put that back up if you take it down, so.
That's right.
so that's okay.
I think it needs to be
So
just
we get as close as we can to the.
physically close as you can. They may have to assemble it through the fence.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
All right, now we will have our public hearing for our FY 24-25 budget. Ashley?
Yes, I'll keep my comments brief. I'll kind of hit the high spots. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the budget, this year. I mean, it's been a long, kind of drawn out thing. We go through this every year. Sometimes it seems like it gets easier. Sometimes it seems like it gets harder, but this year was pretty uneventful. Everything that I'm going to talk about is actually attached on board pack, so you'll see this if the public wants to look. These graphs are also out there. But I'll start out with kind of the main idea of the story is that we will have no tax increase this year. There will be no increase to the mill rate. We actually have budgeted over $68 million in capital outlay funds, which is machine and equipment and projects. Now, even though we do budget those, we won't get to all of them. As we know, every year we have some things we don't finish every year. That is not including the electric department. Rob, I'm sorry, I didn't have those numbers right at my fingertips this afternoon. In the general fund, we do still put public safety as a top priority, so those are our two biggest sections of our budget for police and fire. In general fund, our investment in personnel is the largest part of our budget, and our sales tax revenue continues to be steady, and collections have exceeded our budgeted numbers, and everything else looks good. So I think we're sitting in a great place.
Well, and it always seems anticlimactic when we present this at the end, thinking about the many, many, many hours that have gone into getting us to this place. And so thank you to all of our aldermen, all of our department heads, and to Jesse and Ashley for the many, many hours that y'all have put in to get us to this point. And Ashley's acting like this is her last budget, but I don't know. I got a lot of arm twisting in me for next year. Okay, so as this is a public hearing, is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on any aspect of the budget? All right, hearing none, we will move along to something much more fun than a budget, an appointment to our Oxford Tourism Board. And I'm glad that Rob Forster is here tonight to hear himself be nominated and placed on the Oxford Tourism Board. Rob is one of the brilliant minds behind Wonderbird, and we are so blessed to have them in our community. Such a wonderful community partner and a visionary, and such a creative guy that I know will add so much to our tourism board. So I recommend to you the appointment of Rob Forster. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and thank you, Rob, for being willing. We appreciate it. Request permission to renew the employment practice liability insurance for Oxford University Transit System. Donna?
permission to buy the coverage. We were $600 less this year than last year.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, that was quick.
That was it? Was that all? There's no grant thing?
There's no what?
There's no multimodal grant thing?
Oh, did I miss that?
I guess so.
I don't remember
No,
seeing
I was
that.
like, not on the agenda.
Multimodal grant.
Is that,
Permission to
well, is there?
get the grant
it
for
would have to be added-
$29,000?
It would have to be added to, can we do it in 2 weeks, or is it too time sensitive?
This was due this week.
Okay, well, no, let's
Can I make a motion that we,
make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? You just want to take it from here? Really, dude? So we have a motion to amend the agenda and a second and a call for the vote, all from Bailey. So to amend the agenda to include.
Multimodal grant, to sign the grant accepting $29,500 for, money for the facility upgrade we're doing on the second floor.
Okay,
I'll
and is
make
there
that
any
motion.
match? Are there matching funds that we need to provide for that grant?
That, no.
No, okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Sorry about that.
Thank
I don't
you.
remember.
I didn't get a copy of the thing, so I can.
All good, all good. Disaster averted. Okay, request permission to advertise for bids for cameras for the downtown area. First, let me say thank you for getting the cameras that we've got up and running. That's huge for right now, and so I know that was an extra load, and I very much appreciate you doing that.
Yes, ma'am. So we were driving along with this originally, and the vendor that we were looking and in discussion with fell off a state contract, so we need to advertise for bids to put these out to try and get some new cameras in the square.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Request permission to change chapter 102-704, section 22, to require that the sign contain the following words: unauthorized vehicles will be towed away at owner's expense, or unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense.
Yes, ma'am. Just
Devil's
that-
in the details.
Yes, ma'am, just that slight change, so we can have more signage included.
Apparently, at owner's expense is a regular made sign that you can grab anywhere, and the other has to be custom made. The wording that we originally had in there has to be custom made, and so, anyway, there was some discussion about if either of those apply. So with this change, there will be no question left of whether or not it's legal signage. Fair enough?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Move to approve.
Second it.
all right.
Those two prepositions.
All in favor?
English teacher.
The teacher over here. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
When does that go into effect? Immediately? Or does it have
It's
a?
usually 30 days,
30
but yeah. Does it matter, Bo?
I think it could go effective immediately. I think it's an administrative change.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna send it.
It's just,
Yep.
and the old sign still works, this is just
Yeah,
additional
it's
language
just-
that would also work. So,
Right.
That's how I was gonna send it to Municode as an administrative error.
Okay.
Or administrative correction.
Perfect. All right, thank you all. First reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 87, Article 3, junk vehicles and appliances. Saban?
Yes, ma'am. Just change some of the wording in section B to include more areas outside of the residential the way it was previously worded. Section A has stayed the same, like I said. Section C, Section D, those are the same, but I'll read Section B. It shall be unlawful for the owner or occupant of a property in any zoning district to utilize the premises for the open storage of any junked vehicle or junked appliance. It shall be the duty and responsibility of every such owner or occupant to keep the premises of such property clean and to remove the premises of all such junked items as well as rubbish upon notice from the mayor or their authorized representative. And then section 1 of B, a property whose primary business is the repair or maintenance of appliance or automobiles may be allowed to maintain such items on the property for the purpose of such repair or maintenance for a period of up to 60 days. And then 2, this ordinance does not restrict any commercial property governed under Chapter 62 junk, and junk dealers, or as authorized in the Land Development Code. And the penalty section has remained the same as well.
All right, so that is a first reading of this ordinance. So at our next meeting, we would have a second reading and public hearing. Does anybody have any questions for Saban? Saban, thank you for all you do for us, and always looking for ways to do more. Your reports that you send us are so great, and it's so wonderful that each alderman can see exactly what the complaints and issues have been by ward. That's so helpful, and I appreciate that anytime any of us calls you to get busy on something, you've got it solved before we can hang up the phone, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you. All right, request permission to approve a parade assembly permit for the Communications Workers of America to host a strike on September the 4th through the 14th from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yes, ma'am. They're just, as we asked them to do.
AT&T.
Yes, ma'am. Redoing their permits.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request permission to approve a parade assembly permit for Bradley Rayner to host an awareness walk on October 20th from 2 to 4.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request permission to change the job description for firefighters to require that they be an EMT prior to being promoted to lieutenant or higher rankings. Chief Gardner.
Motion made. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Do what?
Excellent idea.
Oh. Request permission to update the probationary testing requirements for newly hired firefighters in the Oxford Fire Department. Chief.
Yes, ma'am. We want to replace the street and building test with a skill packet. Has 25, 26 skills, and...
Did I skip one? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we're going to back up one, and, yeah. Request permission to update the EMT and paramedic policy for the Oxford Fire Department.
Yes, ma'am. We just want them to pass the national registry test within 12 months of completing the class, because right now they have 2 years, and we just want to change that to 1 year.
Great.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, request permission to update the probationary testing requirements for newly hired firefighters in the Oxford Fire Department.
So we're going to replace the street and building test for someone that's on probation with a skill packet that has 26 different firefighting skills. So they'll complete this skill packet. We'll do an evaluation at 3 months and 6 months, and then that'll be their probationary testing. We'll move the street and building test to when you become a driver.
Great. Sounds like a good plan.
Sounds like, makes sense. If you're not driving, you don't need to know the streets.
That's what we thought.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Chief. Request permission to approve a list of budget amendments and reallocations for fiscal year 2024. Ashley?
Yes, this again is just kind of a housekeeping item. You'll see the majority of these are, some of them zero net change to funds, and the majority of them are increases in revenue. Things coming in higher than we thought they would.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consider a contract with A2H for the extension of the walking trail at Woodlawn Davis Park. Mark?
So this is the first of 3 design proposals we have tonight. This is the ongoing project, has been budgeted for this upcoming year, and A2H is the design firm we've worked with since 2016 on the project. And this current phase to extend the asphalt walking trail a little over 1/4 of a mile. If we approved, we'll get started in October on the design. Project cost, including design, is $167,702.
If we start that in October, then we set aside 2% for that.
We did. Yeah, but that's why we can't wait. That's
So
why we're
moved.
waiting till October.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, consider a contract with Howarth and Associates for professional services related to renovations at City Hall.
Okay, the second design proposal is the standard formal agreement with Howarth and Associates. It was I added it to the board pack this morning. As noted in the agreement, the project includes renovations to the basement, to the main floor, as well as an alternate for a bathroom on the main floor. The design fees are based on an estimated construction cost of $569,500. That number doesn't include the contingency. The total project cost is shown on page 21, $600,075 roughly. If approved, we would begin design immediately, and we're going to hope to bid it in December.
Well, we had very much hoped that we would be able to get grant funding for this project, and that's what we got your approval to apply for the grant weeks back. And we had been told that this grant money had previously been available only for Main Street programs for communities that had an established Main Street program. And the legislature, I know their intention, because several of them mentioned to me that we should apply, because now you didn't have to be a Main Street organization to apply for the grant. So off we go and we apply for the grant, and then they say you have to be a 501c3 or 501c6. Visit Oxford has now applied to be a 501c6, but basically that's how Main Street kept it in there, that you had to be a Main Street program to get the grant. And I think that the legislature just missed that. So anyway, that's how we got to where we are. And this would allow us to bring Visit Oxford into City Hall and not have people leasing properties. Everybody would be under city property. So any questions or concerns there?
No, especially since the lease goes up 6% every year.
Yeah. It will pay for itself in less than 8 years, as far as the rent payments go, so.
What do you need, motion?
Yep.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Consider a contract with McCarty Architects for professional services related to renovations at the current OPD building on Molly Bar Road.
So this is the theme tonight. This is the final design proposal with McCarty. Again, standard AIA agreement for minor renovations inside the existing OPD building to convert that to office spaces. The architects are proposing their fees using the Mississippi Bureau of Buildings log, which is pretty standard for interior renovation. Is the same as the last couple items. We would like to begin on this design as soon as we can and get this bid in December of this year.
And it is included currently in our 24-25 budget.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consider change order number 1 from DC Services for asphalt repair at the new Oxford Police Station.
So
Asphalt repair? Hadn't even gotten in there yet.
well, so we milled the engineers called to mill the asphalt 1.5 inches in order to resurface. And when they did, there was nothing there. After the 1.5 inches, it was bare dirt. So
awesome.
There's some great pictures in the board pack. So we had to change the plan. We now have to add an extra 1/2 inch of asphalt before we can put it back in there.
Before we can put our asphalt.
Right, exactly. So the total change order is $17,912. This is an unforeseen condition. We do have, this would come from the contingency. We do have plenty of money in the contingency fund right now to cover this.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consider the transfer of a license agreement for the use of outdoor space from HBC Enterprise to Old Henry Hotel LLC.
So this new business on East Jackson is taking over what was the corner bar. The Old Henry is asking just to transfer the license that was previously held by HBC Enterprise for the outdoor seating on the corner of 11th Street. The same price per square feet applies, $23. Monthly installment it's a revocable license, $1,556 per month.
So moved.
Hold on just a second. Did we set a time frame on the others all at the same time to come due so we would change?
We did. We put 5 years on them because we were coming yearly and they were all at different times. So we did kind of a blanket.
Right.
We did a blanket. And it's 25 is 2020. It was a 5-year. I'll check it was 5 years. It should be.
But we did do it so that we weren't having this on this month and this one on that month. Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's 2025. I'll revisit that.
The contract.
More
won't
importantly,
change.
is this the same month
That's right.
for everyone? Yes.
It'll be another blanket. We can do it in 5-year increments.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Did we vote on that?
Nope.
No.
I
That's
move
what I
to
thought.
approve the
Wait a
transfer.
minute.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, sorry. Request permission to advertise for RFPs for a figurative sculpture at the Morgan Family Park on North Lamar Boulevard. That is also included in our 2% budget for this next year.
And nothing to
At
add.
$75,000 is what's
Permission to advertise.
included.
We'll put an
Yeah.
RFP together.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Consider a request from Odin Hardy Construction for extended work hours for a concrete slab pour at 14 Thacker Loop. John?
Yeah, y'all approved them to do the slab at the last meeting. They underestimated how long it would take them, so they only poured half of it. So they're asking to come back and pour the other half this week.
Well, they're just gonna have to live with one half, not
Yeah.
kidding. All right, is there a second? All in favor? Any opposed? And then we have an addition to the agenda to consider a request from the Magnolia Collection to close, to close Tyler Avenue or a portion of Tyler Avenue for a period of time of construction. John?
Yes, ma'am. Century Construction, the GC, and I think they are here tonight. They have been selected to build this building down here at South 14th and Tyler, right next to Nukes. They are submitting a request to you to close Tyler, basically from the entrance of the parking garage to the Harrison down to the bottom of the hill. They would fence it off, gate it off, give FD and OPD and environmental services access to the gate for emergencies and for dumpster. Mainly, they're asking to use this space for storage of materials and staging of their equipment, namely cranes. This is 2 or 3 story building, so they need somewhere to set up equipment. So the ask is to close that section of the street for a good while, for essentially the duration of the project, as I understand it.
18 to 20 months,
18 to
it
20
says here
months.
in the memo.
Yes, ma'am. And that is before you.
Right, board, what are your thoughts?
I had trouble closing the entire street for 20 months.
We did receive a request similar to this, if I'm not mistaken, when the Harrison was being built, and we told them that we would not approve it for an extended period of time, but we told them to come back if you need a couple of days here, a couple of days there, and the board would consider that in those increments, rather than closing it down for an extended period of time. And they found another location for their material laydown area. But that's the only one I remember that's come to us with.
I would
that
also
same
say,
request.
I left this out, as part of that closure, you'd have to make Tyler up the hill, the 2-way street, because basically people come out of Harrison would have to go up the street to get out. So you would make the intersection at South Lamar right in, right out only. They could come up and go right towards the square, but they could not take a left and go south on Lamar. But you'd have to do that, otherwise they're stuck. There's no way for them to get out.
What's the option for the crane location if we don't allow the street?
I'll ask the Century guys to come up and explain that if they want to, since they're the contractor. This is Jonathan Hill. Y'all may recognize him, by the way.
We've seen him a time or two.
Maybe a little. Thank y'all for having me. So in the process of this, I was tasked with meeting with all of the businesses in the area to try to figure out what was the best way to do it without bothering any business. So let me just say up front that I met with Nukes, and I met with General Manager of Moe's, and I met with Miss Erica that owns Sola in that area as well, to try to put together a plan that wouldn't disenfranchise anyway. So anyone, the least that we could. So the plan that we put together, I also went to the garbage, picked Jamie and made sure that they could get to the garbage dumpsters at the bottom of the hill. I made sure that Miss Erica still could keep her parking place in the alley behind the building that we're tearing down. I tried to address this from a way that I would have when I was with the Housing Authority. So, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I know. I haven't been here in a while. So I tried to look at it through the glasses that you guys would. We would keep a walkway open all the way down Tyler. We will light the walkway. That way, some of the things that people had mentioned was that people that work on the square park in the free lot, and they walk up that hill, so we want to make sure that's clear and lighted. Now that the other side of Tyler is closed, they have to wheel their garbage cans down to the bottom of Tyler to that dumpster. Want to make sure they have access to that as well. We tried to think of every facet that we could to put together a plan that would cause as little confusion as possible, and this is the only one we came up with. If we don't close Tyler, then to me, it would be more unsafe and more confusion, because then you have trucks coming in on 14th Street unloading, you have trucks coming down Tyler unloading. All of these people are still trying to come down Tyler at the same time. you have mass chaos. So in my eyes, if you could close just the end of Tyler for that period of time, it would be less chaos. And again, we're asking to start November the 15th, but that's debatable as well. We could push it back till December 1st, make sure we clear football season.
We're not gonna finish playing football December 1st. We're going to have a playoff game here, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, that's right. I hope we do. That's right. That'll be the first time. So, but yeah, I tried to look at it from the same eyes that you guys would, being that we've dealt in this kind of arena before. Tried to meet with the police department, to meet with the fire department. I know there's an FDC hookup on Harrison Building, so we would make sure there was a gate there that was open, that they had a clear line to the fire extinguisher thing that at the bottom of the hill. So that, and I've looked at it from 17 ways from Sunday to make sure that we're trying to cause the least confusion, not the most. Let me just say this too, while I've got a stance here. The Oxford Electric Department has been outstanding working with us so far. I was with Mr. House in the Water Department today, cutting off meters and cutting them off and capping them so that that's not a danger. We're gonna start demos sometime soon. You guys have been awesome working with us, and you have my word that I think my past history with you guys will show you that I'm a bridge builder. I'm here to ask for your help. We really can't do it without you guys' help. That's just the truth. But we are willing to make whatever concessions we need to make sure that we get the building built and do it in a way that causes y'all the least amount of stress or trouble over the entire period. It is a long period. I know that. I can admit that. That's a long time. I just think if we don't close it, it's going to be even longer because then we're already going to be bringing in the walls pre-made and setting them with the crane. If we don't shut Tyler so that our crane can stay there, it's gonna be one at a time and flaggers on both ends of Tyler and 14th Street trying to control traffic and folks coming and going. And again, if you guys have input, I'd love to hear it. I'd be glad to sit down with any of you guys anytime you want to. I've walked it forwards and backwards and tried to put together something that I think would cause the least amount of stress for you guys. For the businesses around, I've met with every single one of them to get their input on things. I didn't realize Miss Erica at Sola's parking place was so important to her, but it is, and we're gonna make sure that stays right where it is. So just little things like that I've tried to put in the plan. So if you guys have questions, I'll be glad.
You're one of my very favorite people on the planet, and you know that, and I don't like to tell you no to anything, but I will tell you, that being said, there've been a whole lot of buildings built in those 3 blocks that are just as tall as the one you're building, and we had never let them shut a road down.
Yes, ma'am.
So to say that can't happen, it can. It may be a little trickier. And it may be that the days that the walls come in, we say, yes, you can close it for a 24-hour period. Or we say, they're gonna have to close it for 2 days while they do this or that. But we've done that with the Harrison and the Ice House and the, whatever that third one's name is, that's 3 or 4 stories and right down there in that same area. So it can be done.
Yes, ma'am.
And the one group of people that are not brought to the table on what it, you know, how they're affected is just the citizens that use that road every day, and it's a busy road. So this job pretty much is to be the wet blanket. I've decided should put that on my business card as well. But those are my concerns. I don't.
What type of crane is it? Is it a tower crane or is it a mobile crane?
It's going to be a mobile crane, but once it's there, moving it, once everything's put together and moved, I mean, you don't just take it down for a week and remobilize it.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
I don't know that we've found a legal way to do this, ever.
We haven't.
I mean, I don't know if y'all talked to a lawyer or not, but I don't think we can legally give you part of the road.
I would say that
Go ahead.
I agree with your point on previous projects. Downtown Oxford has there are more buildings that are there now than previously as well, so
They built all around us and narrowed our opportunity to find a lay down lot somewhere else. So.
Well, I'm still back to, I mean, love y'all to death, but I don't think we can, I mean, we're gonna go to the Pope on this one, but I'm not sure that this is even legal that we can
I don't think you can give basically what they call a private franchise to public property. I think what we did to lay down last time on Harrison was we decided we could declare surplus for the period of the project, half of the lot.
Chan Patel's
Well, we did
lot.
that once, but maybe for the project before then up the hill, we did half of that parking lot and closed off the bottom half of the parking lot below between Biscuit Nut and Swayze Hospital.
Okay.
And again, it wasn't easy or good, but we did that. I don't know that we've ever closed the road. I know we declined that many times, even for 20-minute road closures. I mean, we've said we can close it for a public purpose, but we haven't closed it for private purposes usually. And if we have, we've determined the value of that construction easement and declared a surplus for that 18-month period. I mean, I'm thinking how we would do it, get a value for it, and then the public gets the private value of the public use that the public doesn't get. That's a lot to do, and even then, I'm not sure you can give that private franchise to the public street.
I've never
I
seen.
look at it,
I've never seen an instance where you could. I mean, except where we're able to call it surplus, and this is certainly not surplus. You can legally get to. Have y'all ventured toward any of your lawyers or anything?
Well, that's certainly above my pay grade. Yeah, I wouldn't know if they did. I know the initial plan got passed, and then I think the secondary plan got passed as well. Again, I wouldn't argue with anything that you said. I don't know that, but I think that the entire project goes south if that's not at least if there's not some ability to meet in the middle. That would be my concern. I think there's a lot of people above me that would care that the project went south. If there's not at least some, and like you said, that may be the way to go. The portions of time that we have to have it there for a week or 3 days or whatever we need it there might be the way to go as well. But if the answer is no, I'm concerned that the project is dead. And again, that I'm just a little guy in this company, so it's not me, but I feel like we're killing the whole project because there's just not much room to operate. And to be honest with you, my thought was if we had to choose something, stay off of 14th. 14th is really, really well traveled. Tyler is a one-way street that's not as much traveled. It is some, but not terribly the way 14th Street is. And so that was when they brought me in, I immediately put a plan together, and they were basically like, tell us why we're not gonna be able to do this. And so that's why I did. And that's why I met with the garbage collection people in the fire department and all, and I was like, tell me how we can make this work where you guys won't fight against us. So that's how we got here. And again, you guys have done this way more than me and know about the history of it, and I really don't. So
what do you think the process is gonna be for setting the walls? Is that 2 weeks? Is that 2 months? Is that you bring in? You bring in pretty.
You've got a concrete structure that's got to be built for the garage and the bottom floor, and then you've got wood frame walls for the subsequent floors above that.
And they'll be hauled in, prefabbed, and then set by the crane. I don't know exactly.
I'd have to look at our schedule to see all of that. But obviously the bigger thing is a safety concern. That's the biggest thing. And ultimately, yes. Does it make it easier to have a closure? Sure it does. It goes a lot quicker. It's also a lot safer in that regard. I don't know if there's an option to, say, can we get a closure for X number of days a week, and have it and reopen it. But that's a lot of logistics and a lot of coordination to work with that too. I'm just throwing that option.
Yeah, I won't speak to the issue of whether or not you guys can legally do it, because that's above my head. I will say that the safety of people walking and driving was looked at a lot when I was putting the plan together, because as an ex-police officer from a long time ago, I think that's one of our biggest goals, is to keep everybody safe. We were going to continue the walkway, we were going to fence it off, we were going to light it. The City of Oxford Electric Department was nice enough, they're going to help us light the walkway so that it's not completely dark. Anybody leaving Harrison's Bar can still go to the ride shares that are at the bottom of the hill. The people that are pushing their garbage down can still do that, but they can do it without heavy machinery coming by them with flaggers and people trying to access that area. It's just, that was my thought, was that one of the safest ways is just if we could block off a small area, then we could keep all the other thoroughfares open and everybody would go about their business normally. But I certainly understand that there's people that would like to use that street that wouldn't be able to for quite a while. So I can understand your point as well.
Is there a hybrid to this where you put the fencing the way that you show it, but then you come on your construction side of Tyler and you put a secondary fence so that when the road has to be open, the gates are open? And traffic,
I see what you're saying.
Traffic flows so that your construction side is fenced off?
So there would be a fence down both sides of Tyler there, and so the fence could be open at points, but the site would still be secured.
If you needed to close it down, then your temporary sidewalk is in place. That's your permanent sidewalk that they're doing. And then if we have to give you a 3 or a 5 day closure,
I would be shocked if they weren't at least interested in any idea you had.
And then if there's another place where you can set the crane, for the majority of the construction, and then the only time you have to have the crane in the street is when you're, setting those final pieces. Or does a tower crane make more sense than a crane?
I will take any suggestions you guys have, and I'll take them back to the people that put this together.
To me, if you had basically this hybrid plan in place, so when you had to close it, you had all your security measures in, you had your ready to go two-way for the people at Harrison, so you had your two-way ready to go, and it's closed for 2 or 3 days, and when you open it back up, you swing your gates open, but you still have your site secured for safety reasons to people traveling the street.
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to bring that up to them.
Seems like there'd be a hybrid. The big thing is a crane location.
That's right.
Are you talking about like a fence on one side of Tyler and a fence on the other side of Tyler? The inside protects from the construction, and you can close the gate.
You can close the gates as they need it, and when the gates are closed, the sidewalks
if we need it for a few days at a time, and then open it back up, and
of course, that would be a fence on somebody else's property.
We'd have to.
It'd be right away though.
Yeah, it'd be right away.
I would think it would be.
Yeah. So where the outside fence now is proposed to be a city right away, as I understand it. And then we own the lot on the opposite side of the road, so that would be Savoy's. Well, I say we. I don't work for the owners of it, but the lot on the opposite side would be ours essentially, and we could put the fence there too, if I'm understanding what the suggestion is.
You just draw that in there, Mark. And that red line. That red line just appeared.
Yeah. So my answer is I don't see why not, but I don't get paid the big bucks to decide. So
I would like to see a proposal with that, and then what your true timing is, or where your first mobile crane could sit on the site.
Absolutely.
And then what is when you have to be setting your parking deck structure, and basically you're building a parking garage like we built.
We are, yes.
Probably gonna be coming in similar to that. So what is the minimum time you need that street? But I think that addresses the safety during construction and while you have the road.
And in you guys' suggestion, we would just come back to the board each time we needed a certain amount of time, and I just want to make sure I understand when I go back and tell them, and then we would talk about what amount of time and why we need it and why that's a great idea.
And I would like to see that. And you can, you don't know your exact timing of it, but it's like, okay, this delivery is scheduled for this.
Absolutely.
And if you're bringing in, support structures in concrete, and you're bringing them in, backing them in on 14th Street, that's gonna have to be, Tyler's gonna have to be closed by then, load that truck.
They're gonna close 14th at the same time.
Well, it's.
Or you got to unload on the
So our idea was, my idea was to try not to close 14th for that exact reason. I hate trying to close both streets. So what we were planning to do was bring them in on 14th and run them past it and then back them in the gate on Tyler, back them in the gate on Tyler, let them unload there, and then pull them back out on the 14th and let them go out. That way we haven't taken up anybody's time on 14th. Again, I'm trying to be cognizant of every angle that would disenfranchise anybody driving up and down the street. Look, I know it's a long time, and I know it's going to be a pain. It's going to be a beautiful building. It's going to be outstanding, and it's going to be worth it. But we're going to all have to do a lot of work. And again, I get it. I'm here asking for help. I'm asking to build bridges. Let's talk about what we can do. And I love you guys' examples, and I'll be glad to take that back to our people and discuss it with them. So that's my best answer.
Empty lot below Harrison's, as far as I know, I mean, it's just a.
We're in contacts with them now. There's been discussion. He wants $9,000 a month for the duration of the project for that lot to be used. I'm not saying that's a hard no. Again, that's beyond my paycheck. But we have definitely. Mr. Phillips has one on the other side of 14th Street as well, on the other side of University Avenue. That's been discussed as well. We've actually put a lot of time into it. We're going to bus in workers so that they don't park in your public parking lots, and that's a no-go for me. I've made that clear up front. We actually are trying to cause as little a footprint as we can. I know it doesn't sound that way when we talk about closing Tyler, but I've really looked at it every way I can. So they're willing to bus the employees in. We're in contracts with the people that own the cinema and the bowling alley for use of their bottom parking lot so that our workers can park there and we can bus them to and from work and that kind of stuff. So I'm interested in any suggestions you guys have, and if there's a way we can make this work, I assure you they're interested in making it work however. So.
Well, I think this is what needs to happen. We need to talk about different ideas. Closing it off for 20 months is a no-go.
It's not gonna happen.
I mean, that's,
I just don't think.
I don't think legally we can do it. And if we did, and we got appraisals, and you had to pay appraised value for that property that we were surplusing.
Right.
What did the spot where the electric box appraised for?
Yeah, they wouldn't like that amount very much either.
I mean, so that 9,000 is gonna look like a dream.
That's right, it looked like a bargain, exactly right.
So, I mean, it's, it's not all or nothing. I mean,
No, absolutely, absolutely.
I think closing it for 18 to 20 months, there's certainly some legal issues there, and, the general public.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys' time and your suggestions, and I'll take every one of them back to discuss, and I'm sure I'll be back at some point.
Awesome. You know where to find us.
Run me back out like a trick pony again.
You know where to find us.
But thanks for y'all's time.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, board, I would ask you to consider an executive session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The board will now consider an executive session.